Coming up on First at 4, we'll talk to the mayor of Buckhorn about the water issues the city faced nearly a year ago, and if he is worried it will happen again.
Venezuela's opposition leader addresses a nation in crisis. I'm Nicole Killian at the White House, where President Trump is expressing his support for him.
Another winter weather advisory and another severe weather alert day. Those details now on First at 4.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, a big warm-up is on the way for the weekend, but first we might have to deal with a little more snow. That can make the morning drive a little tricky. Chief Meteorologist Andrew Dockery has our first look at the forecast as we declare another severe weather alert day. And
yeah, Steve, we just got issued a new winter weather advisory, which is for tonight into your Friday morning, really highlighting that Friday morning commute. And right now, there's not much we have to worry about, at least at this time. Take a look at some of the cameras. Whitesburg looking at cloudy skies ahead of our next system, which is going to be a quick hitting disturbance, along with that low pressure and an associated warm front, which will warm us up in time for your Friday. It's when the precipitation starts where we'll look at the light snow and even some freezing rain as we head into the next couple of hours. Notice satellite radar right now, cloudy skies, and for any plans tonight, you do not have to worry about canceling those for this evening. It's going to be the early morning hours when we start to see this rain move in, along with the snow that provides slick spots on mainly areas north and northwest along the parkways. Now, if you're in southern Kentucky, you're going to be struggling simply because your temperatures are already in the 30s, and that's why you're not included in this winter weather advisory. In fact, this is a new advisory just issued. It goes until 10 a.m. on Friday, and you'll notice it takes away really the Louis B. Cumberland Parkway all the way up to the Hal Rogers and pushes areas north as the best chance for a few slick spots. The further north you are, the better chance for some impacts on Friday morning. Of course, we'll take a look at this hour by hour and that weekend warm up, as you said, Steve, coming up in a few short minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew. As those temperatures rise and fall, memories return of last winter, where areas across eastern Kentucky went days or even weeks without water. Here in Perry County, Buckhorn was an area that went close to a month without water to drink, cook, or bathe in. WYMT's Will Puckett talked with Mayor Tom Burns about whether he thinks it could happen again.
The town of Buckhorn is almost a year removed from the time when they were without water for close to a month. Now, as the temperatures drop below freezing and almost below zero, there are some questions if the town is concerned about seeing those problems again. We caught up with Mayor Tom Burns, who says that this year the ground hasn't really had a chance to freeze that much this year that caused those problems, that broke water lines from the 25 miles away from where Buckhorn gets their water. But now, looking back on those issues a year ago, Mayor Burns says he still is mad about some things that took place then.
Breathitt County had just engineered water from, well, I think they've completed water out to Longs Creek, which is 30-some miles from Jackson. There was fresh water up there in that tank, potable water, less than 1/8 of a mile from where I was standing. And I couldn't get that water out of that tank into the lines for the folks here in Buckhorn.
Now, some of the solutions to fix those issues, like interconnects from Breathitt County or surrounding counties, those projects are still in the works. But they're in the works to make sure that what Buckhorn experienced in 2018 doesn't happen again. In Buckhorn, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
Mayor Burns said one of the best things to happen from the 2018 crisis was the improved communications between officials in Buckhorn, Hazard, and Perry County. The polar vortex that has a firm grip on the Midwest is now spreading sub-zero cold to millions in the Northeast. Many places have set historic low temperatures. 8 weather-related deaths have been reported. Snow squalls also caused whiteout conditions for drivers in Boston. Hundreds of schools and government offices remain closed today in Wisconsin, with temperatures dipping to -16 degrees.
They can't go to the parks, they can't go to school, a lot of daycares are closed, but there's still a lot of pent-up energy.
It is so cold in Minnesota that the National Snow Sculpting Championship was canceled. A new study is ringing the alarm about climate change and disappearing glaciers in Antarctica. The NASA-led study focused on the Thwaites Glacier in West Antarctica. Researchers say a giant cavity is growing on the bottom of that glacier. Researchers say the larger the cavity, the faster the glacier's ice will likely melt. Scientists warn that if all of Thwaites Glacier melts, it would cause a 2-foot rise in the world's oceans. Fire crews battled a multiple vehicle fire at a parking garage outside Terminal C at Newark International Airport in Newark, New Jersey this morning. The source of that fire remained unknown as crews worked to control the blaze amidst sub-zero temperatures in the area. Minor explosions could be seen as the fire burned through multiple vehicles. 17 vehicles in all were damaged, but no injuries were reported. A cloud of smoke hovered over the airport, one of 3 busy international airports in the New York City area. New Jersey firefighters were on the scene of another fire this morning, which had been burning and smoldering for more than 13 hours. It happened at the Markow Paper Mills in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Huge paper rolls in the warehouse were engulfed in flames and the roof collapsed. The fire spread to propane tanks and other combustibles. Firefighters eventually decided to just let the fire burn itself out. President Trump is offering support to Venezuela's opposition leader, Juan Guaido. Guaido declared himself president following a much disputed election. The oil-rich South American country has seen protests in the streets as Guaido's supporters demonstrate against President Nicolas Maduro, who says he is not stepping down. CBS's Nicole Killian has the latest.
Venezuela's self-declared interim president Juan Guaido addressed the nation Thursday morning. Venezuelans have taken to the streets in large numbers to protest Nicolas Maduro, who won a second term as president in what many call a rigged election. The country has suffered food shortages, failed public services, and corruption under the Maduro regime. But Maduro has retained power in large part because the military is behind him, something Guaido is hoping to change. In a New York Times op-ed, he says the military's withdrawal of support from Mr. Maduro is critical to enabling a change in government. And he said he's had secret talks with military leaders. The U.S. officially recognizes Guaido as a legitimate leader of Venezuela. Tomorrow, Vice President Pence will travel to Miami to meet with Venezuelan exiles. Wednesday, President Trump spoke with Guaido on the phone and tweeted he congratulated Guaido on his historic assumption of the presidency and proclaimed the fight for freedom has begun. The U.S. has put oil sanctions on Venezuela, and President Trump says all options are on the table. Justicia. That prompted Maduro to warn any military intervention would lead the U.S. into a new Vietnam War. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
The European Union voted this morning to recognize Juan Guaido as Venezuela's leader. They joined the U.S., Canada, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, and Panama. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell accused Democrats of a power grab with the introduction of a bill that would make Election Day a national holiday. H.R. 1 legislation would also prohibit the purging of voter rolls, require presidential and vice presidential candidates to release their tax returns, and compel states to adopt independent redistricting commissions. It would also create a matching system for small dollar donations to congressional campaigns, among other changes.
So I remain curious why exactly the Democratic Political Protection Act wants to offer the American people's money to thousands of candidates that run for the House of Representatives every 2 years, whether they support these candidates or not. They want citizens to bankroll political materials that they totally disagree with.
McConnell says H.R. 1 would leave taxpayers on the hook for the paid government holiday, essentially creating a 6-day paid holiday for federal bureaucrats who want to, quote, hang out at the polls. Well, you never know who is on the other side of the computer talking to your child. Tonight at 5:30, WYMT will not only expose what is going on, we'll give you advice from the experts on how to protect your children in the digital age. Should they have their cell phones in their bedrooms at night? Do they know every person they are friends with on their social media apps?
Kids are very accessible to people who mean to do them harm. And so sometimes what we see is that children and teenagers don't realize how vulnerable they are.
Investigate TV is getting sex offenders removed from social media. The new WYMT series begins tonight at 5:30. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Thursday afternoon. The Dow closes down today more than 15 points. Straight ahead on First at 4, we'll hear from fans getting ready for the Super Bowl at the NFL Experience in Atlanta.
And a few slick spots are possible tomorrow morning. Those details are coming up next.
The latest additions to Kentucky Lottery's team are looking to multiply the winnings.
No doubt. There's 5 times the cash, 10 times, as well as 20 times and 50 times the cash.
And 100 times the cash with a top prize of $1 million.
Put a little more play in your day with these new scratch-off games.
We all worry when our loved ones are on the highway, and we have good reason to. Every year, thousands of people are killed and seriously injured in car and truck wrecks. The attorneys in my law firm have successfully represented thousands of people who've been involved in car and truck wrecks. You need our experience working for you. Helping injured people, it's what we do. Because the lawyer you choose does matter. I'm trial attorney Ray Jones.
This is breaking news from Wolf, Williams, and Reynolds. After working most of their lives in the coal industry, thousands of miners are waiting for lost jobs to come back. The sad fact is, most miners already suffer from broken bodies and black lung. That's where Wolf, Williams, and Reynolds can help. Disabled Social Security and black lung benefits were put in place to protect the worker. Call 1-800-446-0167 now. Get the process started to bring the relief you need. Wolf, Williams, and Reynolds. This is an advertisement.